What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and I'm here to give you an update on the aquaponics system. After delving into it and planting plants, and we actually went Sunday and bought the fish. We got 20. I ordered 20. I wound up getting like 29 goldfish and just a little 31-cent feeder fish, because I was expecting a lot more casualties than what's actually taking place thus far. And to the lady at PetSmart, she was like, "So how big a system do you have?" And I was thinking, well, the fish tank itself is roughly 35 to 40 gallons, and she says, "So with you buying 20 or so, you can expect that all of them are going to die except for about 4." But then I got to thinking, well, wait a minute, I got 35, maybe 40 gallons for the fish tank, but I've also got 55 gallons, 70 gallons. We're running close to 200 gallons of water through this entire system. So even though they're contained in a 40-gallon tank, they've got ready access to 200 gallons of fresh water coming to them. So I didn't think to figure that in, but nonetheless, we've got 22, 20, no, we got 29 fish, 28 fish. We got 28 or 29. Kind of hard to count them when they're moving around, right? And we've only lost 2. We had one of them that was just small enough to where he actually got sucked up through the standpipe, went through the radial flow filter, and popped out in the first grow bed. Well, praise God that whenever he popped out in the first grow bed, that he was laying right there where the water comes down. So though he looked like he was gasping for air, he was just getting beat up because of the weight of the water falling on him, and we got to him fast enough. And then there was another one that actually jumped out of the fish tank, and my son was able to rescue him and put him back in the fish tank, get him revived and going again. Other than that, we've only had one other one jump out, and he died. And then we had another one that died before we actually got him transferred to the fish tank. From the bag to the fish tank. Other than that, the process should have went as such to where we get the system up and running, we get the grow bed media in, and we get the fish in the tank, and we get it to circulating for a couple of weeks before we add the plants. I kind of did that backwards to where I was adding the plants, and then we added the fish, and I was thinking that I'd add the fish later on this week, and after thinking about it, I'm like, man, need to go ahead and get the fish in there so they start creating nutrient-rich water. Anyhow, we wound up going to Bowie's Trade Day this last weekend, and couldn't pass up the deal on a couple of Rama tomato plants and the pepper plants, the hot banana pepper plants. I mean, $1.50 a piece, and they already had fruit growing on them. You can't beat that. So I bought 2 of each, along with the seedlings that we'd already had planted. And anyway, got them all planted. Well, the real indicator for me was the fact that they wasn't doing real good growing. I mean, as a matter of fact, the tomato plant started turning a little bit yellow and stuff. So it dawned on me that it's the goldfish that are expelling ammonia through their gills and all that's providing all, it's part of the cycle, to produce nutrient-rich water for the plants. So I'm like, all right, so I got to go get some ammonia. And went down to the hardware store a couple of days ago, got some ammonia, and I've been gradually just adding a couple of caps per each grow bed over the last 2 or 3 days, and it's kind of dissipated on the plants turning yellow, and I hadn't put so much in it to where I'm killing the fish. Praise God. But anyway, we're going to, and I've done a few things to the system as far as, I've added an overflow drain, so that way I could crank up, the water output a little bit more, which I hadn't really been able to do that. And then I got the air compressor, the little 12-volt air compressor from Bowie's Trade Day, and I tried to make my own air stone and that didn't work out very well, and it was producing an extreme current to the point to where the fish, poor fish, they were boiling over. They were doing the flips and stuff in the water. It was bad, so I had to shut that down. I ordered a 5-inch air disc stone. It should be here today, and then from there I'm going to wind up creating a backup system for the fish tank, for just in case, a battery backup, just in case the electricity goes off and we lose circulation for a long period of time. Other than that, let's take a look at what we got going. All right, so I've got this neat little, this is a net that actually goes around the trampoline. Of course, the trampoline has endured a couple of pretty horrific storms, and as a matter of fact, it landed about 150 to 200 yards in this pasture over here the last storm we had, and then because of that, it made a couple of things really weak, and it wound up breaking down on the kids a couple of weeks ago. So we reaped the benefit from that. Now we've got a straining net slash fish net, and it even works for the overflow drain, right? But here is the fishies that we've got. You can see them. As you can see, because of, there's one of them little bitty, well, they're not quite as little anymore, but there's a little bitty albino looking goldfish. I think he's the one looking at us. He got sucked up into the standpipe down there because I've got 1/2-inch gaps or 1/4-inch gaps down at the bottom to where it'll suck up all the solids from the bottom. Well, he got sucked up in there too and wound up going through the radial flow filter out and caught himself right up in there a couple of times. He did it twice. So because of that, I decided, all right, I'm going to have to put rocks down there to keep all that blocked out until they get big enough to where they're not going to get sucked up in there. And they've actually grown within the week that we've had them, or 5 days that we've had them. And again, out of the 27, 28, 29 fish that we've had, we've only lost 2. Praise God for that. I've added an overflow drain, which it's catching just enough, right? And if I crank it up, it'll catch even more than that, but it also pushes more flow out. And I've got it screened off to where I ain't gonna lose no fishies down in there. Other than that, here's our Rama tomato plant. I've already got it suspended up. And there's another Rama tomato plant. As you can see, the leaves started turning yellow, and actually I've had 2 branches off of this one particular plant that I've had to trim off. I've had to prune off. Here we go again. So this is just a sure sign, and how yellow greenish the leaves are and stuff. It's just a sign of the lack of nutrition. The peppers down here haven't done anything yet. I mean, they had, of course, that one is starting to get a little discolored. But other than that, the pepper plants are doing somewhat okay, but the tomato plants are lacking. And you can see too that we yesterday added some of the seedlings, and of course my wife didn't label the seedlings, so we don't quite know what everything is, but we've got everything planted in there. And we planted this yesterday, and I would think that, they're probably going to die on us, but they have not. So praise God for that too. We got several in there, and you got to dig down enough in there to where the roots are down in the water. What I suspect though is because these are either cucumber or squash or something to that effect, some type of water type fruit, vegetable, right? These guys are going to take off like wildfire pretty quick. Y'all remember last week, these were the only 2 that we had in there, and these guys have they've grown. They've almost tripled in size already. All right, so we're kind of excited about that. I got the bell siphons to where these guys are cycling. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why it wouldn't break siphon, and I finally figured it out. And then while I was going through YouTube and watching some more videos on it about bell siphons, you know, the biggest proponent was I had too much water coming into the grow beds. There was more water coming in than there was being siphoned out, and therefore it wouldn't allow it to break siphon. Now we've got it toned down, and man, these guys are, I mean, they're filling up and going down filling. You know, it takes them 20 seconds to drain. They'll drain every one of them, and then with the added sump tank and stuff, we've got plenty room for extra water, to the point to where we're either going to start adding on to the system, right? I'm going to add on to the system. I'm going to put a 6-inch PVC pipe down on this side with grooves cut, and I'm going to keep it just above to where it can drain off into the sump tank by itself. And I think I'm going to put a little short bell siphon on it as well, so that way it'll flood and drain. And I'm going to plant corn in that dude. Corn and okra. We threw some okra down in here, just okra seeds, and I don't know if that's going to take off or not. Guys that are on YouTube doing the aquaponics, they tend to get surprised whenever they have seedlings come up, you know, but they do have seedlings come up, so we're going to try that. Other than that, nothing new. I still have, it's crazy. I've been to the big box stores a couple of different times, and not just the same one, but several different ones over the last week, looking for slip-on PVC 1-inch ball valves, and they're sold out. I've even gone down to the local hardware store here in Boyd, and they're sold out. Right? You get threaded ones for about $3 more or whatever. I ain't doing that. I just need 1-inch ball valves. And as soon as I get those on, then I will glue everything together, because this system's not going to go anywhere. If I do anything to it, I'm going to wind up cutting in, you know, another T or whatever, and using that. But as far as it's not going to change. This system is not going to change. I'm probably going to add a whole 2 more barrels just like this here to this side. I'm just going to add on to this rack. Go get some sucker rod and add on another section there, and then with that same concept, that same idea, I'm going to build a whole new system out of those blue barrels up underneath the table over there. But thing of it is, before I can do all that, I got to convince my wife that it's well worth the money, so we got to start producing fruit. All right, guys, other than that, and I went ahead, because we had a bunch of leaks going on down here in the bottom, a bunch of little leaks, nothing bad, nothing serious. I went ahead and glued all that together. The only thing I didn't glue together was the pipe going into the coupling up into the bottom of the bed, so that way I could disassemble it if by chance we wound up moving or anything to that nature, or having a greenhouse that we move everything into. But this system right here, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not going to change anything about it. Amen. And the other thing that I was thinking about too, and just throwing this out here, is I've got 1,200 gallons per hour pump here. I've got a monster pump going on here for this little bitty system, and I was actually thinking about using it in conjunction with the next system. I've got another pump in there just like that, but I was thinking, man, I've got enough. If I can add another a bigger sump tank and a bigger fish tank, I could just use this whole thing and just all have it linked up together. I don't know if I'll do that or not, though. I might just keep it as 2 different systems. Anyway, guys, thank y'all for watching. If y'all have any questions or anything, drop them down down below in the comments, and if I can answer them, I'll answer them. If not, I'll refer you to a YouTube or whatever. Anyway, y'all have a good weekend. God bless.